Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. Their Highnesses and Excellencies, foreign ministers of the Gulf Cooperation Council countries discuss vital council and regional issues. More than 100 Omani innovators join electronics scientific exploration course in the Governorate of North Sharqiya. And the European Union leaders are likely to threaten Russia with new economic sanctions over its action in Ukraine. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. Their Highnesses and Excellencies, the foreign ministers of the Gulf Cooperation Council countries, held their ordinary meeting in the Saudi city of Jeddah today. The Sultan's delegation to the meeting was chaired by His Excellency Yusuf bin Alawi bin Abdullah, Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs. The First Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Kuwait said that the Council countries are keen to overcome differences and work to the exert diligent effort to preserve great gains achieved by the Council, praising solidarity being sought by the Council countries to continue its march. The meeting also discussed current Arab political files in addition to threats of terrorism on the region's security. Earlier, Secretary-General of the Gulf Cooperation Council, His Excellency Dr. Abdul Latif bin Rashid Al Zayani, said that the meeting gains its importance from development being witnessed at the regional and international arenas that required continuous consultations and cooperation among the Council countries. In order to achieve its goals in serving the Community Scientific Exploration Center in the Governorate of North Sharqiya organized a training course for more than 100 Omani innovators in the field of electronics with the participation of various educational establishments. It aimed to acquaint the participants with the latest development in the field of electronics and development, their innovation skills, designing projects based on electronics, and know the basic of the field and its practical applications were also discussed in the training program. The course also tackled ways to develop innovators' capabilities in electronic programming. A workshop on preventive driving concluded in Ibri Hospital. It targeted drivers of ambulance vehicles in health establishments in the Governorate of Dhahira. The workshop was organized by the Ministry of Health in cooperation with specialists at Royal Oman Police. The participants were acquainted with a traffic safety system and rules which should be followed by ambulance vehicles drivers to limit road accidents. Theoretical and practical topics were discussed on safe driving in different conditions. The fall of a truck carrying big marble stones led to temporary disruption in traffic movement on Al-Dakhliya Muscat Road. This was caused by a road accident in the wilaya of Iski in the Governorate of Dakhliya. It caused damages on the road. Royal Oman Police moved quickly to the site and organized traffic movement there. The accident was attributed to a collision between a saloon vehicle and the front of the truck that led the truck to swerve and its load to fall on the road. Shortly, Iski municipality started its work in removing the remnants of the accident. Still to come in our news bulletin. Goma in the Democratic Republic of Congo has plentiful rainfall, yet most homes have no running water.
من هنا تبدأ أسطر الحكاية. تقاليدها راسخة كالجبال. أصالتها مضرب مثل في كل مكان. بساطتها ليس لها مثيل. لا حدود لكرمها. حاضرها مشرق متجدد. مهرجان الصلالة السياحي 2014 من 30 من يوليو إلى 6 من سبتمبر.
Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. For the international world, the UN Security Council voiced grave concern about the deteriorating security situation in Yemen, urging all parties in the country to resolve their differences through dialogue and consultation. A presidential statement issued by the 15-nation body said that Security Council welcomes the recent progress in Yemen's political transition, while the council members note with concern that the Houthis and others continue to struck the conflict in the north to attempt and obstruct the political transition. The Security Council urges all parties in Yemen to adhere to resolving their differences through dialogue and consultation, reject acts of violence to achieve political goals, refrain from provocation, and fully abide by previous council resolutions. The defense chief of the Philippines said a firefight erupted today between a group of Philippine peacekeepers trapped in Golan Heights and militants who were surrounding their position. About 40 Philippine troops manning one of the two camps on the Syrian side of the frontier, identified as Camp 68, came under attack at around 6 a.m. local time. Another defense official said all Philippine troops were safe. A further 35 Philippine troops were at another site but were not engaged in the firefight. The Philippine troops have held their ground for about 48 hours and have refused to give up their arms to the militants. The troops are part of UNDAF, a UN force that monitored the disengagement zone between Israel and Syria since 1974 in the wake of the 1973 Arab-Israeli War. Iraqi Defense Ministry has announced the killing of 59 ISIS militants and the recapturing of 6 villages in Diyala, North Iraq. The operation has carried with Air Force and artillery support, the ministry said in a statement issued yesterday. In a related development, Iraq's military intelligence said that 14 ISIS militants were killed in Tikrit, North Iraq. Taliban suicide bombs hit an office of an Afghan intelligence agency in an eastern city today, killing 6 people, and insurgents shot dead another 11 in the west. A spokesman for the governor of Eastern Nargar province said 7 militants were also killed during several hours of heavy fighting with Afghan security forces at Jalalabad, headquarters of the National Directorate of Security. He added that 4 NDS agents and 2 civilians were killed when a truck and a smaller car, both loaded with explosives, were driven into a compound and a gunfight broke out between Afghan forces and the insurgents. The Taliban claimed responsibility for the attack. At a summit in Brussels, European Union leaders are likely to threaten Russia with new economic sanctions over its action in Ukraine. But officials and diplomats said the bloc was not yet ready to order additional penalties. French President François Hollande said that for Russian troops to have entered Ukrainian territory would be intolerable and unacceptable, but added the qualification that this had not yet been proven to be true. German Chancellor Angela Merkel referred to reports of an increased presence of Russian soldiers in Ukraine without saying that they were on the ground there. According to one senior European diplomat, Berlin believes that at some point in future, a deal can be brokered with Russia and so does not want to take steps that would unnecessarily antagonize it. Goma, a city in the DR Congo, sits by one of the world's largest freshwater reservoirs, yet less than half of the population has access to drinking water. More details in the following report.
Water everywhere, but scarcely a drop to drink. Goma in the Democratic Republic of Congo sits on the banks of a vast freshwater lake, and there's plentiful rainfall, yet most homes here have no running water. Gangs of porters ferry water from the lake to meet the demand of the city's million-strong population. A dose of chlorine is added to each container in an attempt to make it safe to drink. A precaution, some say, that's not enough.
We have problems in the districts that are more remote, where they have no running water and there are selective power cuts. That's why people go to get water from the lake or from around there. And that causes problems like diarrhea, lots of issues linked to the dirty water.
Bloody conflict has plagued this region over the past 2 decades, and Goma's population has exploded, swelled by refugees from neighbouring Rwanda and Burundi, as well as local Congolese seeking shelter from armed groups. Much of the infrastructure is suffering from neglect, but with every problem comes a business solution. Water sellers from Rwanda ply a busy trade, bringing it across the border and selling it on for more than double the price.
I sell the containers for 50 Rwandan francs and they don't give us any problems at immigration. We don't have to pay anything and we get to deliver the water that people need.
Provincial officials blame the unrest for the lack of progress, but frustration at having to pay over the odds for water, as well as electricity shortages and a lack of jobs, has given rise to the Lucha protest movement and their Goma Wants Water campaign.
Security is an excuse for the government, for the politicians. We've launched a campaign, Goma Wants Water. But with the attacks in Kabumba, they say, we're too busy with the security situation, so we can't get back to you. And that stands in our way.
Lucha has helped gather 3,500 signatures for a petition to press the regional governor to do more to connect the city to water supplies and finally bring an end to the shame of the water shortage in one of the wettest cities in Africa.
Now for the general weather forecast. Cloudy skies will prevail over the coastal areas of the Governorate of Dhofar and nearby mountains with chances of intermittent drizzle. Rest of the Sultan will have clear to partly cloudy skies with chances of scattered rain over parts of the Hajar Mountains. Winds will be southerly to southwesterly to moderate to active along the coast of Arabian Sea, while it will be southeasterly to easterly light to moderate over the rest of the Sultanate. Seas along the coastal areas of Arabian Sea will be rough with a maximum wave height of 3.5 meters, and along the rest of the coast it will be slight to moderate with a maximum wave height of 1.5 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. Their Highnesses and Excellencies, foreign ministers of the Gulf Cooperation Council countries discuss vital council and regional issues. More than 100 Omani innovators join electronics scientific exploration course in the Governorate of North Sharqiya. And the European Union leaders are likely to threaten Russia with new economic sanctions over its action in Ukraine. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the studio and the newsroom, it's good night.